Hello and greetings from Quality Residential Inspections, your preferred Raleigh home inspection firm. Gary Gentry here with another InspectBit for you, episode 9, where our topic is safety and the home inspector. I'd be willing to bet that most people, including home buyers, home sellers, and the real estate agents that represent them, haven't spent too much time considering the potential safety issues that a home inspector is exposed to each and every time a home inspection is conducted. I mean, it's such a simple thing, right? We're just casually meandering through the house, looking at this and looking at that. Well, not exactly. What is there that could possibly go wrong? There are a myriad of potential dangers that present to a home inspector during the course of any given home inspection. Most all houses have roofs and electrical systems and attic spaces. And dependent upon the particular property, there may very well be a crawl space present to potentially provide a little adventure, or perhaps a garage door that has the potential to create a little excitement. Let's take a look at some of these dangers. First, the roof. If a home inspector goes on a roof, and there's typically no requirement for him or her to do so, then that's a dangerous act all by itself. It doesn't take much imagination to realize and understand that if one ventures up onto a roof, then one can quite readily fall down off of that roof. Or even the seemingly simple act of using a tall ladder to access the roof is dangerous in and of itself. The overall statistics relating to injury and death caused by using a ladder and by falls from rooftops might surprise you. Those two activities cause a significant number of injuries and fatalities each and every year. But it's taken for granted that the old home inspector is going to be all right. Well, we certainly hope so, because a single fall-related event can put a home inspector out of commission for a very long time, or could even end a career. Home inspectors should be well versed in safety as it relates to what they do, but they're hardly immune from accidents. Then there's the electricity thing. The electricity that we assume to be safe may not be at all so. And many times, it's the home inspector that finds that unsafe condition. Home inspectors usually take the covers off of electrical panels without knowing what might be inside. There can be improper and dangerous wiring inside, or the poorly implemented wiring by the previous homeowner electrician wannabe. Yeah, you get the point. Oh, and that electricity? If you come in contact with it, if you just accidentally touch something that shouldn't be touched, it has the potential to kill you. It's another thing taken for granted that's all around us, but that's potentially dangerous if not greatly respected. Then there's the garage overhead door, the largest, heaviest moving thing associated with your typical house. What could possibly go wrong with those things, you might ask? These things are so dangerous to operate that multiple safety devices have been mandated for their use. Yet, home inspectors are typically required to test them even though they rarely receive any routine maintenance and are often in less than pristine operating condition. Even if they're tested in accordance with industry standard methodologies, they can still fail under testing, which means you wanted it to go up and down, but what it really did was get partway up or down and then fall apart and fall onto the floor or onto whatever might have been beneath it. Much to the dismay of the owner of the door, I might add. But that's a different topic altogether. Home inspectors and garage doors are no strangers to one another. And there are plenty of stories that include both. I'd suggest not operating a garage overhead door during a home inspection if there's a Bentley or a Lambo parked under it. I'm just saying. And then there's the attic space, where it's oftentimes stifling hot, where there's often little headroom and even less places to put your feet. A high percentage of veteran home inspectors can relate their own story involving that foot that got put down where there wasn't a place to put it, and the ceiling damage that resulted. Not that I've ever done that, of course. There's often exposed wiring just waiting to be grabbed onto if one were to lose their balance. You know, back to that electricity thing. And there might be sharp truss plate edges or protruding nails just waiting to take a big chunk of home inspector flesh with any wrong move. Ouch. Anybody got a Band-Aid? And critters? There can be critters in attic spaces that most folks would rather avoid. And that goes for home inspectors too. And on to the crawl space. Oh yes, that wonderful, glorious place under a house where man rarely ventures and where potential danger abounds. But fear not, for the home inspector will bravely go where few dare to tread, as long as it's safe to do so, of course. Crawl spaces are so potentially dangerous that it's hard to know where to begin. They're dark, many times damp, and oftentimes just plain old wet and nasty. Stand in water, sometimes with exposed electrical wiring nearby. Now there's a great combination, that electricity thing again. Raw sewage sometimes, mold spores, and more critters. Rodents, snakes, crickets, and spiders. Oh my. And I can't tell you how often I've gotten way back in the far nethers of a crawl space only to begin hoping that the entire structure doesn't suddenly come crashing down on my old head bone. Low clearances, bumped noggins, the list can go on and on. So what is safe to a home inspector? How does a home inspector decide what's safe and what isn't? Well, it's mostly left to an individual inspector's experience and prudence. Most standards of practice under which home inspectors operate don't require an inspector to do anything that might endanger them or cause harm to the house or the property. And the final decision is left to the home inspector. In North Carolina, and per the standards of the North Carolina Home Inspector Licensure Board, home inspectors are not required to enter any area or perform any procedures that may damage the property or its components or be dangerous to or adversely affect the health or safety of the home inspector or other persons. Of course, the professional inspector won't use that clause of the standards as an excuse for laziness, but there are times when it just isn't safe to go into an area or to perform some assessment that might otherwise be accomplished in the absence of a particular danger. So the next time you happen to see the old home inspector meandering about, looking at this and looking at that, remember that there are indeed dangers associated with what they do, and that they have a responsibility to the property being inspected, to themselves, and to other persons as well. We hope you found this episode of InspectBits informative. Drop us a line, comment on our videos, or visit us on our website at www.qriquality.com. Thank you so much for your time. Make it a great one, no matter what it might be, and remember, with houses, you just never know.